Watching this show has been a very interesting ride because low key, more so than I've been invested in the story, I've been more so just invested in trying to decipher, like, what is the old version of the show and then what is all the new stuff. And I feel like at this point, I kind of have it all figured out. I think the first episode is like all new stuff that the new showrunners created because it was actually really good. I think the first episode is great. Then I think episodes 2 through 7 is really where the mishmash happens, where I'm sure there is a lot of new stuff throughout episodes 2 through 7, but I think most of it is from the old show, just kind of repackaged. And I mostly say that because I thought the first episode actually had really good direction, really good cinematography, really good pacing and whatnot. And it was just kind of absent from episodes 2 through 7. I don't hate those episodes, to be clear. I think the show's overall pretty solid, but I was just kind of like shocked. I was like jump scared because you get right into episode 8 and you just immediately get good cinematography again. You get really interesting camera movements. The pacing is better. The overall direction is just a marked improvement over the past 5 episodes or so. Or is it 6 episodes? I don't know. I can't do math. But yeah, I was actually looking into it, and yeah, the guys who directed episode 1 also directed this episode, and they're also directing episode 8. So where I'm at right now in the season is, overall, I like this season. That being said, you really can see the layers of old show versus new show, and it does negatively impact the show. However, I'm leaving it having enjoyed it, and surprisingly optimistic for a season 2. Like, I actually am interested in seeing a second season from this new creative team. But either way, let's continue talking about episode 8 more specifically. So we learned that Bullseye is being put into, like, general lockup. I don't know what the specific term is, but I assume he's been in solitary confinement, and now they're just going to throw him in with the rest of the normal prisoners. And it seems like they're doing it in order to kill him. Like, I'm not entirely sure why the normal prisoners would see him as a target. Maybe because... Was he a cop in season 3 of Daredevil? Like, was he an FBI agent? I feel like he was, right? I don't remember. But based on everything we've learned in this episode, it seems like Vanessa set him up because they kind of reveal that Vanessa hired him initially to kill Foggy. Who knows? But that's sort of the jumping off point. We also get a scene of Heather, I think her name is. She's like... So this is like kind of an interesting scene where at first I was kind of annoyed by the character because she's like hardcore psychoanalyzing Daredevil. And there's like a weird moment where she's like, Daredevil didn't save me, I saved myself. And it's like, girl, what are you even talking about? But then I kind of thought a bit more about it, and it's like, I guess if she is a psychologist, like, she would be trying to, like, hardcore psychoanalyze Daredevil, and she would, I guess, kind of accurately look at him and be like, yeah, like, he's a hero because of, he's doing a lot of this heroics, like, for himself, right? For his own self-pleasure, which is true in some respects. Like, obviously, Matt does enjoy beating criminals and letting the devil out and all of that. So at first I was like really annoyed by the character. I was like, girl, what are you talking about? But then I was like, you know what? She's a psychologist. She is going to be a little extra about these things. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, yeah, no, Daredevil saved you. Like, sure, you shot Muse, but like, if Daredevil hadn't showed up, you would be dead. We also got a pretty cool scene where Fisk brings Vanessa to his little torture chamber, and we see Vanessa kill Adam, and then we get sort of the confirmation that they love each other. We thought that they might break up and that Fisk might have to kill her or something, but they love each other so much. Oh, they're committed to each other. Oh, it's very cute. Yeah, I really like that scene, seeing Vanessa make the decision of like, thank God my husband is back. Now let's just fully cut this off and just kill Adam and move on with Fisk. So I like that they're making Vanessa like kind of a hardcore character. I think that's kind of cool, actually. We got this interesting scene where like Fisk continues promoting this kid. He made him like the director of communications or something. I don't know if I can remember what the position was, but yeah, I do think that this is just sort of continuing the more like Trump allegory of like Fisk not really putting people in charge that are like responsible or like necessarily qualified for the job, but rather setting people up that he can manipulate, and that are like loyal to him. Uh, I mean, I personally think that they're trying to do Trump allegories here. Maybe they would deny that. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but anyways, that's my interpretation. I like this scene where this like douchebag guy is like clearly he's at fault, or I forget exactly what he did, but well, one of their clients is just like clearly like lying in the situation, and Matt knows that he's lying, and it sort of plays into scenes that I've seen people criticize, where like people are kind of looking at a lot of Matt's like lawyery cases with the guy that stole the popcorn, and people are like, what does this have to do with the rest of the show? And it's like it all plays into Matt's journey of becoming disillusioned with the law, with the system, right? Like Hector's death, even after winning that court case, makes Matt feel like the system doesn't really work, right? What is the name? Angela? Whatever, his niece, like she helped in convincing him, and seeing like that guy that stole the popcorn, it's like, yeah, like the fact that he gets like a bunch of years in prison when people who do worse things are like totally walking free. It's like it all just sort of plays into Matt being more and more convinced that like he needs to be Daredevil. So I like that aspect of the show, but I've seen people like criticize it, but they're wrong. We get this emotional scene with this character, and where she's like, Matt, you need to open up, and you're clearly going through things, and I get that, but you need to you can't do it the way that you're doing because it's destructive, and you're ruining the law firm. And it's like one thing that the Netflix show did way better than than Daredevil Born Again is just the side characters are way more fleshed out. Because I like Matt's partner at the law firm. I think she's fun. She's funny. The actress is really like charismatic, but they just haven't done much with her. And so when we have this emotional scene with her, it's like, okay, I'm not emotionally invested in their relationship. So again, hopefully that's something that this team improves on in the second season. We got this interesting scene at Josie's bar where where Matt like realizes, I guess, that Foggy was celebrating a case that he had won, or like he knew he was going to win it or something like that. And because of that, Matt deduces that the people that killed him were trying to silence Foggy. Something like that. But then it's like, I don't quite understand how that gets tied to Vanessa later on in the episode. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention, but Matt figured something out. And I honestly, I'm not really sure if it's just like a stretch and they're just like conveniently having Matt figure it out, or if it all kind of makes sense in an actual intellectual, logical way. I'm honestly not sure. So we got a really good scene with Matt and Bullseye, where Bullseye is clearly trying to get help from Matt. And we got a pretty good line from him where he says something like, good men defend their worst enemies. Are you a good man, Matt Murdock? And that's obviously foreshadowing for something that happens later on in the episode. But really good scene, really good performance from both Wilson Bethel and Charlie Cox. Yeah, these two actors are really great. We get an interesting scene again with the kid and whatever campaign manager, where like essentially tells her like, yeah, I used to be threatened by you, but not anymore. So we're clearly seeing this kid go on a little bit of a power trip. Is this going to blow up in his face? Are we going to at some point in the show see like Kingpin kill him for whatever reason? Similarly to how Penguin killed Victor. I don't know, probably. But he's clearly getting a little full of himself, and we'll see where that leads to his downfall, because I assume it will. I will say, for whatever reason in this episode, like their relationship, I suddenly just became more interested in it. In this scene with their little interaction. I guess it's just the way it's directed and written to where like the tension between them was actually palpable. Not like romantic tension, but like negative tension in their relationship. It became a little more like real to me. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm kind of interested in their storyline now. I like seeing the elites being threatened by Fisk. It's like Fisk is clearly becoming Kingpin again, and he's using like shady tactics in order to get everybody in line. And he's being the mayor of New York in the same way that he was a mob boss, which I think is fun. We see Bullseye escape with a tooth that he got from when Matt was beating him in. And then he like spits the tooth into the guy's eye, and it's gross, but it's kind of cool, I guess. Couldn't even imagine just like spitting something out with enough force that it can like puncture somebody's eye. But that just is what Bullseye does. He does things that make no sense. I gotta say, I also like the way that they just shot Kingpin in this episode. They like really went out of their way to make him look massive. Because Vincent D'Onofrio, how tall is he actually? Yeah, so he's like 6'3". So it's like, I don't think he's this much bigger than this other guy here. I'm pretty sure it is just like camera trickery to make him look like especially tall, which I think is cool. We see some police brutality where like the vigilante task force guys start like not air frying, like frying this guy's hand because he's like a journalist, and journalists weren't allowed in the gala or whatever it is, a ball. Very horrific stuff. We see the police commissioner guy try to stop them, but then the vigilante task force was like, "We don't take orders from you, lil bro." So unfortunately, he got lil broed. Unfortunate to see. But I did like the fact that we're now seeing the police commissioner guy team up with BB Urich again, actually making this character interesting, because it has been just like this weird thing throughout the season where it's like, why would she be interested in Kingpin's son? I mean, I figured it was going to be that she was just kind of like using him. But like they never made that explicitly clear. And so it always just felt weird to me. But I guess I like that now they're making it clear that, yeah, she is going to try to manipulate him and she's going to work with the police commissioner. So, and it's like, I've seen people saying like, yes, this episode has now made all of the other episodes that have come before. Everything's tying together and it's coming together now. But I fundamentally disagree with that line of thinking where I'm like, a character should not become interesting by episode 8. Like, the Netflix Daredevil had big moments, had big reveals, whilst all of the characters were constantly interesting throughout the series. So, don't get me wrong, I appreciate and I will compliment the show in saying that, hey, a lot of the less interesting stuff has become more interesting now in this episode, but I don't think that excuses them being uninteresting in previous episodes. Anyways, we see Matt confront Vanessa. Vanessa's being a little bit of a gangster here, where he's like, I know that you killed Foggy. I know that you called a hit on Foggy. And she's like, I know that you're Daredevil, bitch. I'm Vanessa. I'm a girl boss or whatever. So I thought that was a good scene with the whole dance sequence. I also like, I feel like it was like one take, right? Where it was going from like all the different characters in the ballroom, and then it ends on like Bullseye about to take the shot. And then we see that Matt took a bullet for Fisk. You know, again, I think that the Bullseye line of if you're a good man, you'll protect your worst enemies. I think that that's yeah, or that was obviously like foreshadowing for this moment where Matt is like, I guess I am a good guy, and so he's not just gonna let Fisk get shot. I wonder if it especially has to do with the fact that Fisk wasn't actually the one that put the hit on Foggy, that it was Vanessa. So even especially so, like if he really is going to let Fisk have the opportunity for redemption, it actually makes a lot of sense that Matt would take the bullet. So yeah, we'll see where things go in the next episode. It's kind of interesting. Next week is the season finale, I'm pretty sure. I think there are only 9 episodes. So we're going to get the Punisher next week, presumably, because there's like an action scene with Daredevil and the Punisher in the trailers that we haven't seen yet. So for whatever reason, the Punisher is going to be convinced that he needs to go after the Vigilante Task Force, I assume. And yeah, it is interesting though, because I don't think that we're really going to get much closure on the whole Vigilante Task Force threat in the next episode. So I do wonder if the season finale might end up feeling a little not quite satisfying, if it's more so just going to end up being a setup for season 2. But I will say I wouldn't even be that mad about it, because this is actually one of the few shows where I think it's going to be coming out annually, like TV shows used to be, because they've been filming season 2 since before the first season began, I think. So even if it does end on a little bit of a cliffhanger, I'm not going to be too upset about it, because I know that next year we're going to see the continuation of the show. But either way, really good episode. I hope that the next week is going to be just as good, because again, it's by the new creatives that are directing it again. So I have my complaints with Daredevil Born Again, but I am actually excited for the finale, and I am optimistic about season 2. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.